Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Brandeis, and today we're back with Mehmet Sevinc. He is an assistant lecturer at the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley, an executive coach, and the director of business development at Berkeley Executive Coaching Institute. And he's based out of Istanbul. So welcome, Mehmet.
Hello, nice to be back.
Nice to have you. So today we are talking about something I was very interested about, Mehmet, and it is IronMan and triathlons. In addition to doing his academic work, he also does some Ironman racing and triathlons. And I thought it would be very interesting for all of you to get to know a little bit more about him through this. So I'll be asking a couple questions, and we're going to start with, why do you do triathlons and Ironman races?
That's a really good question. Well, if you look at my work style at Berkeley, the Berkeley Coaching Institute, it's a variety of different things I do because I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. And if you look at the format of the triathlons, it's 3 different sports. And that's how you train. You don't train, like if you're a runner, you basically run most of the time. Like when I was training for San Francisco full marathon, I think I was running 5 or 6 days a week, averaging 16 to 20 miles. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring, Even though San Francisco is beautiful, has so many beautiful places to run, it was still boring. And then after I ran it, I said, okay, check. I checked that on my bucket list. I said, what is next? And I heard about these triathlons, and it was really scary, especially the swimming part, because imagine starting with 100 people kind of like kicking you, pushing you, pulling you. It's kind of scary, but it's a lot of fun. So I started with a sprint, and I just found out that, okay, I can run. If today I can swim and bike. And I started with a sprint. I've done an Olympic distance, and I've done a half Ironman. And at that point, I told myself, why would someone do a full Ironman? I think it took me like 6.5, 7 hours. And if you think about a full Ironman, you just basically double all the distances, and it could turn into, depending on how fit you are, I think the pros finish it in 7 hours, 8 hours, but most people finish it over 13, 14 hours. So around that time, even though I love the sport, I decided to retire from my triathlon career and picked another sport. But it was just fun to be outside, to work out, the adrenaline, the stress, the community of, I joined two or three triathlons clubs in the Bay Area, meeting people, going for a bike ride, and don't feel guilty grabbing a big slice of 4-cheese pizza after that. So like there's a lot of aspects that I enjoyed quite a bit when I did triathlons.
Well, that's wonderful. It sounds like an amazing community, and I would never think to like join something like that. It seems a little bit intimidating, but it seems like you had an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So, how do you go about training for these races? Because obviously it's a huge distance and really hard tasks. So how do you get ready?
Yeah, you have to be really mindful about it, because you're right. The distances are quite long, so it's a job. I feel like a full Ironman training is definitely a part-time job. People train 20 hours a week. For the half Ironman, I think I've trained around 12 hours or something like that. And 12 hours, when you say 12 hours, it's actually not bad. But if you think about it, it's like there's usually a rest day. So, that means you train like 6 days a week. If it's 12 hours, it's like 2 hours. It's a lot of time. It requires discipline. It requires motivation. It requires a support network. That's why I think joining a club and training with other people really helped me. Excuse me. Yeah, it is a job. It requires a lot of planning. And my childhood between ages of 8 and 25, I sailed pretty competitively, and it was always plan. So after a while, it was just a little bit too much planning, and I decided to, okay, I've done my half Ironman, check the box. I'm not gonna do a full Ironman. I am a little crazy, but I'm not that crazy. So whoever is listening, who's done a full Ironman, I have so much respect for you. I don't know how you were able to do it, but I decided to, after that full half Ironman, I believe it was in Santa Rosa in the Bay Area, I decided that's it for me.
So, obviously there was something that got you to that point where you were like, I'm finished. So what was the most physically and mentally grueling moments in the race that maybe brought you to that point?
This whole thing is a year before the Santa Rosa half Ironman. I was going to do the Santa Cruz one, Santa Cruz half Ironman. And I'm training. I'm on my bike. I am riding my bike from UC Berkeley. I'm riding back home. I used to live in Walnut Creek at that time. And I am about 1 mile away from home. So the final stretch, and I fell off my bike and I separated my shoulder. And then I had to withdraw from the race. Next year, I'm like, I'm gonna do it next year, no worries. I pulled my back. It was really hurting. And 3 months, and it happened 3 months before the race. And I'm like, I don't want to quit one more time. I think I can do this. So, and a couple of my friends, doctors said, you shouldn't do it. You just hurt your back. But I recovered quickly. But the training was not enough. I was not fully recovered, and I didn't want to withdraw for the second time. And I still think about it. Was it a mistake? Was it stupid for me to do it? Because it wasn't easy. The swim is fine. It's the first part, so you do it. I'm not a fast swimmer, so I didn't really push like comfortable. Then comes the 55-mile bike, and it wasn't not a bad course, not a lot of hills. So, but I started feeling the heaviness on my legs in the last 5 miles, and then a half marathon is waiting for you. Like at that point, I'm like, okay, so I can feel my legs. How am I going to run this half marathon? And then if you're a runner, these mile per minute. So the first mile is like 8-minute pace, and I'm like, oh, this is actually not bad. And then almost every mile added 20 to 30 seconds. So I'm looking at my last 3 miles and I'm like, I'm not even sure if I can do this. So I started walking. So basically the last 5K, 3 miles was walking. And I don't know what got me going. Maybe the first time doing it, maybe knowing that this is it. Maybe this is my final race. Maybe, I don't know what it was, but I just kept going. There was a lot of people around, a lot of cheering going on. So, but it was a brutal experience. That's why around that time, like I'm thinking, okay, full Ironman, wow, double all these distances. It's not impossible. I don't know why people do it. It was an experience for sure.
Wow. So, obviously that is so, so difficult. And you were kind of forced to quit a couple of times because of your health. But did the thought of quitting ever enter your head? Like, did you ever mentally think that?
Yes. And, I was actually doing a sailing race over the weekend, just like last weekend. And one of my best friends, one of the top sailors in Turkey. And I said, have you ever quit a race, man? Because we were leading the race, but the wind died. And we know the forecast. There's not going to be any wind. I'm like, we've been at this place for like 2 hours. We're not going anywhere. I said, have you ever quit a race? And he said, no. And in my sailing journey, I've quit many races. I guess, I think I thought about quitting that race, but I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm in the middle of nowhere in the course. There isn't enough assistance to bring me back to the finish line. I paid, I think, $400, so I better finish this race because last year when I withdrew, they didn't give my money back, so I'm not gonna spend another $400. So all these all these things going on in my head. And at the end, yes, I thought about it, but I ended up finishing it. It's
Wow.
another check it, and don't even think about it again type of thing.
Well, that's impressive that you finished it. I definitely would not have been able to do that. So, not everybody is wanting to try an Ironman. What made you want to
Yeah.
try one?
It's this whole bucket list thing I have in my, I think it's coming from my father, doing something, checking, and just be happy about it. Um, Also, during that time, I like to keep active and be, in a good shape. And, an Ironman is definitely going to put you in a good shape. It's going to keep you fit. You're going to work out a lot, so you're going to feel better. If you work a lot in front of computers, like many of us do, it's a great way to, hey, during my lunch break, let me go and do a 30-minute swim, or let me go for a 5K, quick 5K, do a track workout. It's really a good excuse to get out of the house. The two things I talked about: put the phone away and get out of the house. It will definitely get you out of the house. And I know these days there's what's that spin, Peloton. A lot of people use it. I don't know. I just like to be out. It makes me happy.
Oh, that totally makes sense. And I think that's great that you get a break from your work and come back with a fresh mind, which is so
Exactly.
important. So for people who maybe want to do an Ironman or some of these races that you've done, what is your mindset going into it and coming out of it so that, they get a feeling of what that's like?
Perfect question. So when I first got into it, I just got a little bit too anal about this whole training, whole diet, whole, oh, okay, I can't go out tonight because I need to wake up at 5 a.m. to, don't do it. I mean, just like enjoy it, enjoy the process, enjoy the training. I mean, you're not going to win this race. If you are starting right now, you're not going to win this. Let's be real, okay? And if you're not going to win it, why be so anal about this whole training, whole diet, whole heart rate monitor, measuring your heart? I mean, I did that. And I think that's why it kind of, I just got a little bit, I'm like, man, between ages of 8 and 25, I was sailing. I was doing all this. It was my whole summers would be sailing. My winter would be land training, or it was just a little bit too much to go into that mindset and enjoy the process. Don't be too hard on these training plans, especially in the beginning. And then maybe you will like a sprint triathlon and you want to train for a longer distance. And once you do that, maybe get a little bit more serious and learn training programs, learn about your heart rate, aerobic, anaerobic, you talk about diet, maybe learn about those later on, but not in the beginning. Just enjoy.
I love that advice. Do it for the enjoyment and not
Yes.
because you feel like you have to.
Mhm.
So you were telling me a little bit about this new thing that you're doing called, I think it was called kite surfing. And correct me if I'm
Yes.
wrong. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So very quickly, because I sailed for so long, and then the triathlon training was also kind of getting a little bit too much for me. I said, what is this next thing I can try? It takes me outside. I love sailing, so maybe something related to water. I've never done extreme sports, so maybe something a little bit extreme. And it was pretty easy. That's kite surfing, and it's really. I thought I was gonna pick up pretty quickly because of my sailing background, but no, it was a totally brand new sport, and I think I took about 20 hours one-on-one lessons, and finally started going on the water, and then I purchased some gear, and now when there's enough wind, I pack my thing. That's the beauty of it too. You just like I have a golf bag. It has two kites, a kite board, my pump, my harness, my clothes, everything in a golf bag. So it's so easy to carry. I put it in a plane and go anywhere. Really, I mean, it's so easy, and it is dangerous. You really need to pay attention. Don't get cocky about it. But it's just like if you love water, if you love speed, if you like a little bit of jumping and a little bit of flying, I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome and a really good next step from your, seems like athletic background.
Yes.
So, you know, you are a very outdoorsy type of person, it seems like, and, you know, active. For the average person who wants to get out more and be more active, do you have like any closing advice that you would want to give them?
What what advice I can give you? Average person who wants to get out. I mean, what is the easiest thing? What's the baby step, I guess, from coming from the coaching? What is like one thing you can do to enjoy? And this is again from Homa Barami. I love her, professor at UC Berkeley, talked about taking her Zoom calls while going for a walk and not being on camera, obviously. We talked about it, but in this one, just call in, or maybe a call, phone call, not even a Zoom. Take it while going around the block. You don't have time, you don't have 30 minutes, then go for 5 minutes, but at least get out. You know, I'm gonna go back to those two things I learned. Put the phone away, get the heck out of the house, even for 5 minutes. What is the easiest thing you can do? Whatever it is, but get out of the house.
Perfect. I like it. Amazing closing words. Put the phone down and get out of the house.
Yes.
For all our viewers, if you are struggling with that, those are the 2 baby steps, and get out of the house. It's really healthy for you. So thank you so much, Mehmet Sevinc, for being here today and telling us a little bit about your personal life with your Ironmans and triathlons, and informing us on that. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Sydney. It was a great experience talking to you.